Hey friends, today's video is going to be not a knitting video. I'm going to try something a little different, and I did post this on my Instagram, and so far it sounds like you guys are interested. So you probably know that I am a stay-at-home mom and I like to be a homemaker, and so today I am making yogurt, which I've never done before. And I'm going to be kind of refreshing my sourdough starter because the one that I had for 3 years and it molded. So I was able to salvage a little bit of it, and I'm going to try to bring it back to life. And I'm also going to be making some DIY household cleaner. So let's jump right in. I'm starting with the yogurt. Now the recipe that I found was for an Instant Pot, which I have, and I got my Instant Pot out and I was going to wash it, get it ready to use, and I realized mine does not have a yogurt button. It has every button under the sun, but not a yogurt button. So then I was like, well, what do I do? So I looked up my specific Instant Pot yogurt, and I found another method, so that's what we're going to try. It's just on the stove and then put them in jars, and then it sits in the Instant Pot on like a warming function for like 11 hours. So we got a lot to do, so let's get to it. Okay, so what we need for this yogurt recipe, which I will leave in the description, is some whole milk. You can use low fat if you prefer, but I got whole milk. There are lots of different sweetening options. I just got some sweetened condensed milk. You'll need 4 jars. There is an option to make 7, but my Instant Pot is not very big, so I can only do 4 at a time. And some yogurt that has live cultures in it. So this one does say, where did it say that? Yeah, right here, 6 live active cultures. So you have to find something with the active cultures in it, or it will not work. So that's all it takes, and we're going to start with the first step, which is to boil some milk. Alright, so I've got 3.5 cups of milk. I'm gonna put it in the pan, and we are going to bring it to a boil, and we want it to get to 180 degrees, I think it said, Fahrenheit. So we'll start that, and I need to find my whisk. So while we're waiting on that to come to a boil, I'm gonna discard and refeed my sourdough starter. So what happened yesterday, I got my starter out to feed it, and I have it in this kind of container, which is way overkill. This is way bigger than it needs to be, but it's just what I had, and so that's what I've been using when I started this 3 years ago. So I've used the same container for 3 years. I would wash it sometimes, but honestly, flour and water is like glue, so I didn't wash it very often. I just would scrape it down the sides and mix it in, and I never had a problem with any kind of mold until this time. I don't know what happened, but I opened it up, and sourdough starter will get like this liquid layer on top that's called hooch, and it's like an alcohol. It comes from the fermentation, and it's usually kind of dark, but that dark was like everywhere, and it was all over the sides of the container, and it looked a little suspicious. And my husband even said, I think that's mold. And that could have brought me to tears, because I've had this starter for 3 years. I started it on my own. A lot of people in our town apparently have starters that came from mine, because I gave some of mine to people and then they gave theirs, and so it's just like the mother, and I was very proud of this starter. So there was no mold at all in the actual starter in the bottom. It was only on the sides of the container. That was just like old starter that had dried on the sides, so I probably shouldn't have done this, but I salvaged some out of the base of it, and because like I said, I could not see any mold on it. And my plan is that I will just feed and discard and feed and discard until I basically have like a new starter, but I'm still using the original to get there, if that makes sense. So last night I saved 50 grams, and I added 50 grams of whole wheat flour and 50 grams of water. So now I'm going to measure out 50 grams to keep, and I'm going to discard the rest and feed it again. So that's what we're going to do now. Also, if Dottie Angel pattern, I've talked about these before, but I added a little ruffle thing up here, and it's a two-tone, and I added a little pocket here. The pocket is really loose though. I should have pulled it a little bit tighter, because when you put stuff in it, it just kind of, it doesn't really hold stuff very well. But it's cute, and I tend to get messy with flour, so yeah. All right, let's feed this baby. All right, so I've got my scale set to 0, and I'm gonna measure out 50 grams of my starter. I'm just gonna. It's a little bit thick, I think. I might need to add a little bit more water. So this last time I fed it, I used whole wheat flour, but this time I'm going to use what I normally use, which is all-purpose. But when you use whatever flour you use to feed, you want it to be a nice strong one, so I recommend unbleached. I really liked the King Arthur's unbleached, but I couldn't find that at my grocery store, so this one should do the trick. So I've got 50, actually I got 52 grams, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to zero it back out, and I'm going to add the same amount of this flour, if I could get it open. And I'm just using my hands. My hands are clean. That's chocolate, bud.
Oh, that's what it was.
No, I don't think you need any chocolate right now.
I do. I like chocolate.
I like chocolate too, but we can't eat it all the time.
But I like chocolate.
Okay, so now I got my 52 grams of flour, so I'm going to zero it back out again and do 52 grams of water. I think I might have said water a second ago, but I meant flour. Now we're doing water. Whoops, I did a little bit too much, so I'll just add a little bit more flour. That should be fine.
It needs to be like this.
Now I need to mix it up. I have a special little blue spatula that I like to use for my sourdough, but I can't find it, so I'm using a rice cooker spoon.
Really red, and they have to be like this, and this.
Honestly, I might need some more water. It was looking a little bit thick. I'm gonna add just a little bit more.
Christmas puppies. Sammy, come see this? Come see these little Christmas
Sammy,
puppies.
put the chocolate up. I said no. Put it up.
I don't like chocolate.
I don't know. Maybe we can have some later. Just not right this minute, okay?
Play-Doh.
Okay, that's looking better. So
Not Play-Doh, like chocolate.
now I'm gonna. There's not a whole lot left in here, but I'm gonna
Play-Doh, like
rinse this
chocolate.
out so it's nice and clean, and then put this in there. Alright, now I'm going to shut this. I took the seal off because you don't want it to be airtight while you're waiting on it to get bubbly. So, just going to close it a little ways. And actually, I don't even have to do that. I'll just leave it like that. And set it aside. It should take about 4 hours, maybe 6, for it to start getting bubbly. So, I was just putting my videos into my editing app just to stay on top of it. And I realized that my accent is coming off really strong. And my husband told me that it was lately. Of course, I don't really hear it, but the reason being, I'm assuming, is because I've really been watching a lot of these two channels. One is that he actually introduced me to. It's Celebrating Appalachia. And it's this woman who, she's just celebrating Appalachia. That's what she's doing. And I think we live in Appalachia. I think we can say that. We live like right in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Smoky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains. Like we're just right in all of them, I feel like. And anyways, growing up, well, her channel reminds me a lot of growing up because they eat a lot of the things that I ate growing up and do a lot of things that me and my grandparents did growing up. So I just love her channel. And then her daughters, she has twin daughters who are, I think, a year younger than me. And they have a channel too called the Presley Girls, and I will put both of these channels below. And they live a few towns over from us, not very far at all. And I just really like their channels. They feel like the kind of people I grew up with, which I don't live far from where I grew up. It's only like a 30-minute drive, but it's just a little bit different. I came from Georgia. This is North Carolina. And they're North Carolina too, but for some reason, I don't know. I just like them. And anyways, they have an accent, and it's very close to, some of it's very close to what mine used to be. I had a very strong accent growing up. And then when I married my husband and I moved here, we've been here for like 10 years. And he's Cuban, and his whole family's Cuban, of course. So, okay. So, my accent has just kind of like worn off, I guess you could say. But anytime I'm around my family, it comes back out. And so because I've been watching all these videos, it's kind of like being with my family and it's coming out again, which I have no problem with. I think part of how I like subconsciously lost it over time was when I first came into John's, that's my husband, his like circle of friends. They would kind of mock me. There's a couple running jokes about my accent when that movie, so I don't get mocked again, Life of Pi came out. I would say, I said, Life of Pi, or however I said it. And they all took that and ran with it, and they're like, Life of Pi. And I made a joke once about honeybees, and that went off, something that now when they see me, they're like, honeybees. They're just like, it was never them being mean. It was just all fun. But I was only, 17 at the time when I first met my husband. So, you still don't really know who you are. And I don't know, even though they weren't being mean, it just kind of like, from that point on, I was like, maybe I should try to not have such an accent. But who cares, Like, make fun of me all you want. Now that I'm older, I know, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, I'm very proud of where I come from, and I really love where we live now, and I love our lifestyle, and yeah, that was quite the tangent, but I just felt like I would address it. So I'm testing my milk temperature over here. It said to heat it on low until it reached 180. That's going to take a long time because it's at like 110. And the kids are screaming, so I better go figure out what's going on. Alright, I've got my sourdough starter going. I got the yogurt going. Now I'm going to make some household cleaner using lemons, some rosemary, and distilled vinegar. White vinegar. So, and I've got 2 big jars here. These are, how many ounces are these? I don't even know. 24. It's the big mason jars. So I saw this on the Presley Girls channel, and I've tried to make some vinegar-based cleaning solution before, but it's always just way too strong, and I have to dilute it, and even then the kids are like, what's that smell? So I'm going to give this a shot. So all you do is you cut up some lemons, save the juice, and then put the rinds, the skins, I guess you call them, in the jars. And I'm going to put a little rosemary just for some extra scent, and then fill them with vinegar, put the lids on, and wait a couple weeks. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, as you can see, it's kind of a mess over here. My bread box is full, so there's like all this other bread just hanging out on the counter. But I'm going to cut the lemons, and I got a bowl to squeeze the juice into. I should probably open these so I can put the lemons in. Okay. Here we go.
I sneeze.
Bless you.
And this is Paul and this is Sammy.
Yeah.
We're all gonna eat cookies.
This is a good way to figure out if you've got any cuts on your hands, because apparently I've got like a hangnail or something on my finger and it hurts. Alright, now I'm putting the rosemary in here. I wanted to put lavender, that's what she did, but I don't have any and the store doesn't have any. I am planning on growing some lavender this year, but until then, rosemary will do the trick. Ow! My finger really hurts where I've got lemon juice in it. Alright, I'm now going to fill up the jars with vinegar.
This is what you do. No, you do this.
Now these will just sit on the counter for a couple weeks until they're ready. Checking the temperature of the milk. We're shooting for 180.
What did Sammy just have?
Rosemary. You don't want it, trust me. You don't want to eat it by itself.
Which raspberry?
Okay, it looks like we're almost there.
No.
Alright, the milk has finally reached 180 degrees. I feel like that took forever. That's Fahrenheit, by the way. It took like an hour, probably, I think. So now I've set it off to the side, and we've got to wait till it comes back down to 115. And then we get to add the other stuff. So, I don't know how long that'll take. I've just put my thermometer in it, and I've got it kind of propped up, so I'll just come back by every few minutes and see how long it's taking to cool down. Alright, my milk has cooled down to 115, and now I'm just kind of removing this weird film that was on top. It said to remove that because it can make your yogurt a weird texture. Or no, it said that it would taste bad. Maybe both. I don't know. Okay, so that's all gone. So now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of my sweetened condensed milk. And I decided that I'm also going to add a little bit of vanilla just for some flavor. Alright, I'm going to do the vanilla first. And I'm just going to do a capful. I guess that's probably close to like half a teaspoon. I just always do a capful because that's what my granny did. And it's just what I know. Is this in 3? Yeah. Okay. And when I say that's what my granny did, I don't mean with yogurt because she didn't make yogurt. But just anytime we used vanilla, we just always did a capful. Oh yeah, I'm getting a little bit of like curdle and stuff going on there. Okay, and then 3 tablespoons of condensed milk. I better do this over something in case I spill. Alright, 1. Whoops! Just about poured it in the wrong thing. What am I thinking? 2. Okay, wow, this is making a mess. And 3. Okay, now I've got to whisk that in real good, it said. Alright, now I've got my 2 teaspoons of my yogurt starter, which is just the yogurt with the cultures in it. And I've got to put a little bit of this in here. The stove's not hot anymore, so it should be fine. This is kind of just like to temper it, I think. Kind of like how you temper eggs. You don't want to just pour something really hot on eggs or they'll scramble. And same with this. I'm assuming if you just pour it all in there, it might kind of curdle the yogurt. So, and do that. And temper it. And then pour it back in the pan. Mix well. Okay, now we are ready to put it in the jars. All right, I got my ladle, and we're gonna fill up these jars. I don't know if it's gonna fill them all the way up, so I don't wanna put too much and then not have enough for all 4 jars. And since my Instant Pot's, I mean it's regular size, but I can only fit 4 jars in there at a time, so I'll probably do this again tomorrow so I can just have, like, get it all done and have enough yogurt for a while. Okay, so I don't know if these like turn out to be, you know what? I just realized the recipe said this was for 7-ounce jars. So I really, darn, I really could have done double the recipe and filled these all the way up. So I'm just gonna go ahead, well, like I've never made yogurt before, so I don't know if when it turns into yogurt, if it takes up more room. We'll just leave it like that. That seems all right to me. This is a learning experience. Just gonna put the lids on and move on to the next step. All right, I've got my trivet in there, and then we're just gonna put all these jars down in here on the trivet. Whoop. I don't know if this is gonna work. They kind of want to fall over. Maybe they'll hold each other up once they're all in there. It's a little bit dusty. Ah, that's all right. A little dust never hurt anybody. We're not licking the lid, so. Okay, now it says to leave the lid off and put it on, keep warm for 11 hours. I guess you can't set it, but I'll just watch it, and it's got 11 hours. And hopefully after that, we will have yogurt. You know, now that I think about it, even though it was for 7-ounce jars and I could have made like double the amount, I kind of prefer what I ended up doing, because when we eat them, my plan is to probably put like granola and blueberries or something on top, kind of make like a little parfait. At least that's how I like my yogurt. I don't like to eat yogurt just by itself. I definitely like some granola in there. So that leaves us some room in the jar to put it without having to like switch it to a bowl or, you know, whatever. We can just put what we want in it and then eat it from the jar. So works out. I also don't have 7-ounce jars. I have like 2. So this just works. I moved my starter over here on top of the fireplace where it's nice and warm. I'm gonna check on it. Okay, we're getting a little bit of action in there. That's good. Probably not going to be enough to bake with it today, though. Probably have to wait till tomorrow. But I'm glad that she's doing something. Yeah, you can see from here the bubbles coming up. Nice. I'm glad she wasn't all the way dead. This is a total side note, but I have all these aprons and I have some more up here. And I used to have all of these hung right there, and it was so bulky, and the screw is only out of the cabinet a little ways. So it was really hard to hang them all up there. So I moved some of them down here, my little short ones. These are just like tie around the waist kind of aprons, and actually 3 of them came from my granny's antique store. My grandma used to own an antique store where she also had a bakery inside, and so I would work with her on the weekends and bake, and I always loved looking through at all the antiques and brought home quite a few things. This hutch that we have is actually from her antique store. There's a lot of stuff in our house that's from her antique store. But I got this apron from there, and this one. And this one I think is my favorite. It just, like, it's not at all like an apron print. It has the alphabet on it, but it just reminds me of carrots because of the orange and the green. And then this one I bought at a thrift store a year or so ago. Very pretty. But yeah, I thought that was a cute idea to just hang them down there since they're short and they won't touch the floor. And then I've got my like full length ones up here. And then Rosie's little apron is up there too. Anyways, I came back in here because I want to check the yogurt and see how it's looking, because I was reading on the reviews of the recipe and a lot of people said that it did not set up for them, because this is like a workaround way of doing yogurt since I don't have the yogurt function on my Instant Pot. So this is just kind of like a different, maybe it's gonna work way. Even the author of the recipe said that sometimes the results can be inconsistent because the warming temperature of the Instant Pot is not always consistent. So I know I'm not going to remember to show you guys at 10 o'clock tonight when I take them out to put them in the fridge. So I'm going to look now and see how they're doing. They've been in here for 5 hours. Can you see that? I'm going to tilt it and see if it... Okay, they're setting up. That's good. That's a good sign. When I tilt it, it's not just sloshing around like milk, because some of the reviews said that it just kind of stayed like a milky consistency. Get out of there. So, Sammy was digging in my fabric cabinet. So that's really good. So tonight at 10 o'clock, I'll take them out of the Instant Pot and put the jars in the freezer, or sorry, the refrigerator until the morning, and then hopefully by the morning they'll be ready to eat. Like I said, I'm going to top mine with some granola and blueberries and have myself a parfait. And I will, in a minute, and I will check back with you guys in the morning to see how they ended up. Alright, it's done. I'm going to show you what the consistency is like. Let's see. Okay, it's like yogurt. Tastes pretty good too. Okay, I'm gonna, yes, Ella's coming. I'm gonna put my granola and blueberries on top and we'll be done. Ready to eat. I'm very excited about this. I'll leave the link in the description and you should try it. Thanks for watching.